Today we're going to be looking at a quick installation video for the Tenzing Manager console. Now this video is just designed to be a quick overview of the installation process. If you need a more detailed version, we have that video that goes into a deeper dive, as well as the initial configuration as well. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to tenzing.com/manager. Okay, and it's going to take you to this website. And this is where you can actually grab the installation guide, so you can download the setup guide, as well as the installation package. Okay. Now I've already downloaded this on my desktop, so I'm not going to do this again. So I have to go ahead and cancel this. And I'll kick off the installation package here. If you typed it in correctly, you should see this window. I'll go and hit next. Now you'll notice there are 4 components that we can install. And I'll just briefly talk about each one so you know what they are. So we have the core server components, which includes the database and the required services to be running. We have the console, which is an MMC style console where you will do the majority of your management from. The console can also be installed on other devices as well. So if you have, if you want to install it on other administrators' desktops, you can just install the console piece there. You can also install it in a Citrix or VMware type environment and publish it as an application. The Cloud Connector is our SSL gateway that allows the devices to securely connect to the management console, as well as for you to manage the devices remotely, so outside of your network. So that could be your home users or other organizations, or if you're an MSP and you manage multiple environments, you can take advantage of the Cloud Connector component. Cloud Connector component can also be installed in a DMZ by itself if you wanted to. And then we have the web console, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a web console into the Tenzing Manager that will load some IIS components. Okay, so for this demo, we'll install all of them. Select my install directory, and we'll let it run. Now I'm going to pause the video during the progress bar, and every time there is a pop-up, we'll jump back to it. Okay, so the first prompt we'll see relates to the Cloud Connector component. And it's going to ask us which port we want to allow the devices to connect over the Cloud Connector. The default's 443, but you can change that if that's being used. And then it's going to ask us for a certificate. So the default will be, we will create a self-signed certificate to use. But if you have already one created or wildcard cert in your organization that you prefer to use, you can specify that here. So I'll go ahead and hit next and accept all the defaults for this install. Okay, the next prompt will be for the web console. So we'll go ahead and let that run. Once the web console finishes installing, we'll get prompted for this window. And this is where we're going to actually specify a repository. So the repository is going to be a location where you're going to save things like firmware files, configuration templates, back image files, things like that. So you will notice in all of our documentation that we refer to the repository as the image store. So I've created a folder on my C drive called C image store. That can be really anything you want. It doesn't have to be called image store, but that is what we refer to it as. So I'll select this directory, hit OK, and then I'll give it some credentials. And the credentials are used to actually create that share. Okay, press create. Okay, and then when it says connection OK, and the right hand to the right of the task button, we know that it's created the image store correctly. So we'll click OK at the bottom. And then we're prompted to create a DNS SRV record. Now this is used for the devices so they can automatically check into the management console, and it's something that I recommend for all environments. There's 2 SRV records. There's one for the standard console check-in, which is the non-Cloud Connector method, as well as the Cloud Connector. So if you're going to use the Cloud Connector, you're going to want to create an additional SRV record for that. All that is documented in the setup guide, starting on page 23. So you can either allow the console to create it if you have access to DNS, or you can go back and do it as a manual process later. So I'm going to go ahead and no on this. and let the install finish. And hit next. Okay, and our install is done. So if you're on a server, you may get prompted for a reboot. Go ahead and let the server reboot so you're ensure that all services and web components start correctly. I'll go ahead and hit finish, and it will start the services locally. Okay, so now that the install is finished, you should see two icons on your desktop if you've installed the web console as well as the standard console. So we'll just open them up just to make sure that they installed correctly. And you can see that it's already discovered a device on my network. Okay, and we'll check the web manager console as well. And you may get prompted for a login window. So just use the credentials that you used to install to authenticate there. And so that concludes the quick installation guide video for the Tenzing Manager. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. We're happy to help.